First, he takes your legs. And in some cases, like in today, he takes your entire body. Full body cramps for Carlos Alcaraz as he lost today in 4 sets. Sid Merritt, as you can see from the giant Löwenbräu München glass I got here, it is indeed Bierhall Freitag, but don't say that too loud because we have to roll the music when we say that. So we'll start with a comment here. Sid Merritt, Matt is the winner amongst tennis analysts in predicting this one. And indeed, it was a big win here at Coffee Break Tennis. We've had many. The wins just keep piling up. Out of this two, who's getting to the final? This is a little before the match started from the official Roland Garros YouTube channel. And 56% to 44% in favor of Carlos Alcaraz out of a sample size of over 18,000 votes. So a lot of people, Djokovic even said it in his press conference himself, that today maybe, if indeed, as we'll talk about it later, we'll play Alcaraz's clips from his presser, if indeed these cramps were mental cramps. Have you ever heard of such a thing? Cramps that come on from the sheer... A fly came along to Bierhall Freitag today. The sheer enormousness of the task at hand. And Djokovic pointed out, well, this might have been the first time that Carlos, in such a big match, was the favorite. He was the favorite. And according to this poll, he definitely was. One more comment on Bierhall Freitag. Raisa McCartney says, hey, has anybody seen the match of the century floating around anywhere? Yeah, indeed, it wasn't the match that I was expecting. I thought, Djokovic would lose his... I mean, we saw it, right? It was a great match. So it wasn't the match of the century, but it was... can you say it's the match of the year even? Das deutsche Bär ist wirklich gut. Ist vraiment bien. Anyways, it was a good match. Maybe it's not the match of the century, but a great comment there. Very funny. It was a great match, and we saw... Djokovic was going to have to go to the magic potion and get the special electrolytes that his coaching team mixes for him in the stands and gives to a ball boy, and they bring it out to him whenever he's struggling in a match. We saw that was all coming on. Alcaraz comes out a little tight in the beginning maybe, but still playing well, but, getting more angry at himself than what we're used to seeing. Not smiling quite as much, although, did you see that one shot where he chases down that ball and then basically does like a swat from the side? It's kind of like a regular tweener, not a reverse tweener, with your back to the net tweener, but on the side, shooting out of the hip because you can't even chase it down enough to get it between your legs. Anyways, he had a shot like that, had a big smile on his face, but still, I thought Djokovic definitely better. Djokovic came out looking the best he's looked, since he won the Australian Open, and who didn't expect Djokovic to come out like that? The thing was, maybe Alcaraz was going to be so good that he was still going to beat Joker playing, last few days of a Grand Slam style type tennis. So Djokovic came out on fire, and then in that second set, you saw amazing. When Djokovic is down serving, Carlos was serving 5-3 in that second set. It's looking like it's going to be the 5-set match that I was expecting where, we see ups and downs from Djokovic. Think of that 2019 Wimbledon final with Federer. I think, didn't Djokovic get 6-0'd almost? It looked like it was going to be a bagel set in the second set, I believe. It was one of those sets. And then they brought out that magic potion. Have my magic potion right here. Trying to drink it fast. I think that actually slowed down the process. Anyway, so they bring out that magic potion in the middle of that match. And then Djokovic is winning another tiebreaker in the third set. So looking like maybe like that could happen. And I'm feeling nervous for Joker. I'm thinking, let's get this second set, Mr. Joker, so we can lock this thing down. And Djokovic must have been thinking the same thing because he breaks serve, then serving 4-5, he goes down love 40. Second set, 4-5, just broke back, down love 40. That was one of the games, best games I've ever seen. For all the pressure that Djokovic must have felt in that moment. And, he saw Alcaraz just heating up, getting better and better. So he must have felt like, I absolutely got to make this happen right now. He does. But then serving, after breaking back, he has, the same thing happens all over again, basically. And this time he's down, love 40 again, I believe. He's down love 40 again, serving 5-6. And then he loses that set 7-5. And then, of course, we know what happened in the third set. The match was no longer an epic, great match. But those first two sets, a lot to take from that. A lot of stuff to look forward to in the future. It's tough to make Alcaraz the favorite here. I mean, he looks like he should be, but you got to remember he is 20 years old, and like Djokovic pointed out, he's never been in a situation like this before where he's the favorite in a match this big. And he really was. But despite all that awesome stuff, all that material that we have to talk about, the, miscue there, our douchebag media could only come up with questions like this.
Hello Novak, first congrats, and then you've been booed by the public several times, including when you won the second games of Carlos in the third set. How do you react to that?
Now, before I play Djokovic's answer, which is a GOAT answer, really is, it's great. This question, you might think like, okay, it's kind of a good question, but from the media perspective, this lady ought to know better. Sounds like she might be a Francais, but Française, Mademoiselle we're talking about here. But she's got to understand, like, however Djokovic answers this question, it's kind of a dicey question to ask because he can look like a bad guy pretty easily, right? If he says something, against the crowd, that's not going to help him out in the final. It's going to get the crowd, against him more. And, he's been a good sport to the crowd. He's been speaking in French as much as possible during the encore interviews. What more can the crowd ask from the guy? I think they just wanted a good match, and maybe it was confusing. I don't know how people, I take it back. It was confusing. Why did Alcaraz all of a sudden go down a break? Well, it's because he takes that medical timeout for cramps, which apparently you don't get treated for cramps. In the old days, you wouldn't get any kind of treatment for cramps because that's a you problem. You're supposed to hydrate and not be drinking Bierhall Freitag before your matches, like Nick Kyrgios does in the pub the night before a Wimbledon match. But right, they used to be on you, and so you don't get the treatment. But now you can get it if it's a changeover. Since 1-1 is not a changeover, and Alcaraz, it was so weird. It started with his hand, then it's the calf, and then it went a full body cramp. And apparently, even Alcaraz admitted it might have been a mental thing, which is interesting. We spend so much time talking about mental toughness, and Alcaraz is a guy from the next gen that we all assume is the toughest of them all. Him and Medvedev, I guess you would say. Anyway, so Alcaraz says, I can't play, so I got to take the timeout at 1-1. And the umpire pretty much tells him, and I think she explained to the crowd in the beginning, but after that, the crowd is booing a bunch. They don't understand why is Alcaraz already down. It does look, if you don't understand, if you're, not a big fan of tennis for a long time, don't understand the ins and outs of the rules, it is a little confusing. Like, oh, the guy's hurt, and now they're taking a game away. They're taking a break of serve, giving it to Djokovic. That seems unfair. Well, good thing I understand some French. I've worked so hard on my French. I was able to at least understand when the crowd starts booing like crazy. The umpire, the chair lady, she was saying something along the lines of choisir, something about the player chose this. He chose this, and then they calmed down a little. But they were rowdy. They wanted a better match. Part of the booing is just it was an exciting match, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. And then it was a foregone conclusion. But listen to this GOAT response from Gotovic.
I don't mind. It's not the first, probably not the last time, so I just keep winning.
And then gasps in the room of the douchebag media. To be fair, there's always good questions. There's definitely some good journalists in the room asking good questions, but that one, I don't like that question. They only ask him about Alcaraz. Yeah, he just played Alcaraz. This is normal. You get asked about the guy that you just beat. That's pretty standard, but not many. I only really heard one question about Djokovic himself and, more personal, directed to him. And it was one of those tired questions along the lines of, Djokovic, what was going through your head with all this history on the line as you saw what was happening to Carlos? So it was still about Carlos, but then he worked in you're playing for history. How tired are these guys answering questions about the histoire, the Geschichte, the history of the sport that they're playing for? I mean, it is a privilege. They say it all the time. I'm sure they're happy about it. Anyways, let's go to a question for Carlos. Carlos, what happened?
Well, it has been really tough for me, honestly.
No doubt.
I disappointed myself, honestly, ending the match like this, coming to this match with a good feeling, feeling great physically, and cramping at the end of the second set, the beginning of the third set, it was really disappointing, but this kind of things happen, and I have to deal with that.
These kind of things happen, especially to guys from the next gen. But you know who these kind of things don't happen to? Novak Djokovic. Play it one more time. Novak, how does it feel when you get booed? Do you like it? Do you want to say anything mean about the French so they can put it in the newspapers, Le Journal, tomorrow, and then they Sunday they can boo you?
Hello, Novak. First, congrats. And then you've been booed by the public several times, including when you won the second games of Carlos in the third set. How do you react to that?
How do you react? What is your response?
I don't mind. It's not the first, probably not the last time, so I just keep winning.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Coffee Break Tennis. Today is Bierhall Freitag. Hallo und herzlich willkommen zum Bierhall Freitag. Heute ist ein Spitze-Tage. That's all I got for you in Deutscher today. Anyways, welcome to Coffee Break Tennis. We're going to get through the rest of these things. These clips we got here. And then we'll go to comments. Bierhall Freitag, if you don't know what it is, you're new to the show. That's where anything goes, so do comment. We always do this right before, well, not always, but lately we have done it before the final weekend after we get our semifinals done on Friday. We celebrate by reading your comments, whatever they are. They don't have to be about tennis. We open it up wide for Bierhall Freitag. Normally, if it's a different day, a normal show, I only read comments that interest me or make me laugh. But today, I just have to grab a bunch of comments and read them, even if they're insults, even if it's people that don't like me. So it's a real risk here we take. Could be embarrassing for me. Mich. Let's play a clip. Take that beer hall music down. It's getting too rowdy in here.
Well, it has been really tough for me.
Oh, we already heard that one. We already heard that. Okay, first off, take a look at this.
And rooting for him.
Not
pretty cool.
That Novak Djokovic will get introduced first. It is the
this was fueling the fire. Another insult to the champ who should have his Wimbledon points and be number one. Yeah, he looks like Rafa. He smells like Rafa. Tastes like Rafa, but he's not Rafa. Not yet. You know, that's why I went with my gut here. I'm going to go with the Joker until, Carlos is a Grand Slam champion, but thanks to the great rules of the U.S., Djokovic wasn't there to play him at the U.S. Open when he became a Grand Slam champion. This time, he was in the way. And there was only one major this year, remember. Forget the other results because they don't really matter, especially for these guys, so I got my Jurassic Park shirt on and my Rafa hat in honor of Rafa, who snuck one, right? He got to steal an Australian Open when they deported Djokovic from the country. And now Joker gets a chance to return the favor. But still, we love Rafa, and we wish he was there. But we got my old guy shirt on. We're ready to celebrate old guys here on Bierhall Freitag. But let's just listen to the young guy who's earned our respect. We love this guy. He gave us 2 great sets. There were some points in that match that were just as good as anything we've ever seen from Joker and Rafa. Or I'm not going to say Federer and Djokovic or Federer and Rafa. Those are like some of the greatest points of all time. We won't go there, but just as good as anything you've ever seen from Andy Murray and any Big Three member, and just as good as anything you've seen from, will we go all the way there? I think we will. There was some, remember that one point where, God, there were so many good points. We talked about the one where he slapped that ball for a winner, and even Djokovic had to give him a cheer. But there was one point where Djokovic comes to the net on a short ball. It's been a brutal rally. Alcaraz is way off the court, and then, so Djokovic got the short forehand at the net. Had a chance for it to bounce. It's not quite like a volley. Bounces like a little before the service line. He's like a few steps behind the service line. And Alcaraz is so far off on that, Djokovic's backhand side. Alcaraz's forehand corner. He's way over there. Joker's got, he puts his forehand back there, not like Roger right here. Puts his forehand there and drops it. And, he just hits like a 50% forehand into the corner. No one gets that. And then Alcaraz got that ball. Remember that point? I think that was the first point when Djokovic was down 40-love on his serve, serving 4-5 in the second set. Djokovic knew that set was going to be important. He did everything he could. He came so close. He still couldn't win it. That was an incredible set. That second set was one of the best sets I've ever seen at a major or at any sport. Anyways, let's go to Alcaraz. I don't remember what the question is, but roll it.
Carlos, do you know why it happened? Do you think it was
Get ready for a lot of questions
maybe
like
of
this.
Playing such a big match, or was it, I don't know, did you not get your food and drink right, or do you have any idea why
Maybe
it
he had some
happened then?
Bierhall Freitag.
Yeah, the tension. the tension of the match. I started the match really match. The tension of the first set, the second set, it was really intense. 2 sets as well. Really good rallies, tough rallies. Drop shots, sprints, rallies. He has a combination of a lot of things, but the main thing it was the tension that I had all the 2 first sets.
So part of it, he's saying, was just the tension and the high level of those first 2 sets that led to the cramps. Okay, get ready. Incoming, our excellent media has some more questions about the nature of the cramps.
Something you can learn from.
Can you learn from the cramps, Carlos?
Was it more tense this match than any other one you played?
From the Telegraph?
Well, you have to learn from this kind of matches. This kind of experience. I would say I take lesson from that match.
He learned from it. All right, he's saying he learned from it. Let's roll another one. What's the next one? I'm going to take a guess here. I think it's a question. Ein Frage dealing with the cramps.
Carlos, have you ever had any cramping issues before? And, if not, how big a surprise is this to you?
Yeah, I had cramps, in matches, but I would say not on this level.
Not at this level. Later on, there was another question just like that. And I got to give credit. Alcaraz's English must be getting better because he actually said, I've had cramps before, but not to this magnitude. Good English word, Carlitos. All right, let's roll another one. I think it's about the cramps.
Carlos, you played those 3
and it's a good one this time.
US Open and won all of them.
Yeah, let's roll that back. You hear that question? This guy sounds intelligent. He's got like a British accent, but not like that Weasel Simons accent. And he says, Carlos, you won 3 5-setters in a row at the US Open. You didn't get any cramps then. What's the difference? Does it have something to do with a guy whose name that rhymes with guacamole?
Carlos, you played those 3 5-set matches at the US Open and won all of them, and there were some very, very late finishes. So did today's cramping have a lot to do, you said, with the tension, but also with the fact that it was Novak Djokovic on the other side of the net?
Probably it's not easy to play against Novak.
Great answer here.
Of course, he's a legend for our sport, and if someone says that he getting into the court with no nerves playing against Novak, he lies.
He's a liar.
Of course, playing a semi-final of a Grand Slams, you have a lot of nerves, but even more with facing Novak.
He speaks the truth. All right, guess what they asked Novak? They asked him a question later. Novak, Carlos said he had nerves because he was playing against you. What do you think?
Hey, Novak, congratulations.
Hey, Novak.
Carlos was just in here, and he basically said he was completely overwhelmed by the stress and tension of the moment of facing you on this big stage.
It's not his fault.
I was curious if you had ever experienced something like that.
It's a good question.
Physical reactions when you were young in your career to stressful moments against great players, and how you get over it.
Just thinking about the Djokovic song
I have experienced that several times.
Roland Garros on Dimanche.
And early in my career, I was struggling quite a bit physically, so
he went gluten-free. That's how he fixed it. Carlos,
I can
go gluten-free.
Understand, the emotions and circumstances that affect you mentally and emotionally. Being in one of the greatest tournaments in the world, and maybe
I bet it's a lot to deal with.
For the first time in his career, he was expected to win. He was maybe not an underdog, chasing the title and trying to win against.
All right, that's enough. It's a good answer, but and Djokovic is right. He had issues at Roland Garros. He had to retire with breathing problems. It was before he changed the diet and became even more devoted to his craft, to the sport. So, and he goes on to say in that clip that that Carlos, it's a learning curve, right? He's only 20. We can't make him the favorite like that against a guy this good, who's taken such good care of his body, right? Like I said earlier, we don't see Djokovic cramp like this. Maybe when he was younger, but Djokovic has spared no expense. He's turned over every stone. He's done everything possible to make sure stuff like that doesn't happen to him. Roger and Rafa, they did it too, but not as good as Djokovic. Djokovic has built the perfect tennis body. He's always interesting to me. Even Federer, he looks a little skinny, like compared to Rafa maybe. Roger and Rafa, way about the same. They're in the 180s. Joker, I believe, is like 167, right? And I think he's taller too. He's like, because Roger and Rafa are both 6'1", same height as me. I might point out. We're all the same. But Djokovic, I think, is 6'2", little taller, like 15 pounds lighter. Didn't need less body fat and I guess a little bit less muscle or a different type of muscle. I don't know, but it's not for Djokovic. Obviously, he does some strength training, but this guy, like his wife said, she said, whenever Djokovic is home, I always have to look down to see him because he's on the floor stretching all the time. This guy is so devoted to taking care of his body and building the perfect tennis body. Anyways, as he said, it's a learning curve. Carlos is going to get better. He's got plenty of time, and the game is definitely there. Thank you, Carlos, for some really good sets. A couple great sets. But that's it. All right, let's go to the comments because it is Bierhall Freitag. And then Sasha Zverev got a bagel. Casper Ruud looked good. Forehand is really firing. I don't think he has any chance to beat Djokovic. Djokovic in 4 sets, maybe 3 on Sunday. That's all we're going to say about Zverev and Casper Ruud. Anyways, Jesco Toes says, my heart says Joker. You're going to notice a theme here. By the way, if I finish this beer before I read all the comments, I have to stand upside down on my head. No, what we'll do here is every time I read a page of comments, I have to drink some of this beer. That's the rule on Bierhall Freitag. My heart says you're going to notice a theme here. A lot of these people are saying, I want Joker to win. I love the big 3. I agree with you, Matt. But Carlos is looking so good. I have to go with my brain instead of my heart. So here you go. My heart says Joker, but my body says no. My heart says Joker takes it in 5, but my brain thinks it's Carlitos. If you wanna be with me. Remember the Christina Aguilera song? If you didn't get the thing, my body says yes, but my heart says, what is it? I can't remember. Okay, I just ruined this comment. I'm sorry, Jesco. My heart says Joker takes it in 5, but my brain thinks it's Carlitos who wins 3-0, kind of like Medi Teddy Bear did it in the U.S. Open final. Novak hasn't been able... I kind of thought the same thing to myself briefly before I made the bold prediction of Novak wins. Anyways, kind of like, is this so bold to pick a big 3 guy to win a Grand Slam semifinal? Is that bold now? What is happening to the world? Carlitos wins in 3-0, kind of like Medi did it in the U.S. Open final. Novak hasn't been able to play in 1 AO, 2 USOs, and he got expelled in 1. Remember that? I mean, she did play it up. I'm sure it didn't feel good to get hit in the throat, but remember she falls to the ground and she turns her head towards the microphone that's supposed to pick up the sound of the serve. She's making sure everyone hears it. Maybe she wanted a cash settlement or something. What was going through her brain at the time? I don't know. Novak hasn't been able to play in 4 Grand Slams. I want him to capitalize here on Rafa's absence, just like Rafa did at the AO last year when he got deported. Yep. Michael Paulion. Great show. Never needed to see any other tennis shows in all these years. Thank you, Michael. It's funny. It goes by fast, especially when you're having as much fun as I have doing this show. This show has always been fun. I think that's why people like it. I saw that first comment says, Matt, you win of the tennis analysts. I don't think of myself as an analyst. I think of myself as a tennis enthusiast. And that's why I have so much fun doing this show. So thanks for being here with me, having a lot of fun. Next page. This was a particularly good show, Matt. I saw this. I had to grab this page of comments right here because look at the name, the BS Russian. Probably my favorite development from the next gen. Of all the things that have happened with the next gen, that's the best thing. Particularly good show, says the BS Russian. This is a particularly good name. Gutanama, Krishna, Hari Kari Krishna. Remember the George Harrison song? Krishnan Ramachandran says, when Carlos played Novak at Madrid last year, he was making a ton of unforced errors, but he appears to have cut down on his errors. He's playing with a lot of margin above the net. I mean, it did feel like, right? I'm sitting there watching. Djokovic loses that second set. Now, I'm telling myself he's going to get the magic potion. He's about to bounce back and win the third set. But I'm getting nervous. And Alcaraz looked like he could win that match. Could have gone either way. That's why I said 5 sets. I was kind of feeling like it'll be this kind of match. Obviously, I was pretty happy to see Djokovic win the first set because I thought, okay, this gives him a good shot to win it in the 5th set if Alcaraz starts playing even better and things get dicey. Djokovic's level goes down. He needs his magic potion, all that stuff. So, yeah, he did everything he needed to do to win it. Just, I don't know. It startles me. It alarms me when they say, like, it was a mental thing that he started cramping. Sarab Tiwari says, good to see you consistently putting up videos for FO 2023. I haven't had this much fun all year. I need to do this more often. I saw another comment. Maybe it's on here later, but it said something along the lines of, Matt, promise me after Sunday you don't disappear for 5 weeks. Well, that definitely won't happen because isn't Wimbledon 3 weeks, 4 weeks after the French Open final? Tommy Knoble. Looks like a German name. Like Arthur Rinderknecht. Matt, great show as always. Best tennis podcast, hands down. Thumbs up. Thumbs up to you too. My favorite Indian beverage, thumbs up. Better than Coca-Cola. Eric Hansen here says, this is a Norwegian. One request for Bierhall Freitag. Please say Jan Litterd Straffi Struf. Do you guys remember that? Like, when did I first say that? It's probably been 3 years. Yeah, it's been a fun show. It's amazing how many years have gone by. We did the first show before Federer won the 2017 Wimbledon. So it's about to be Wimbledon 2023. It's been a lot of years. Wow. Great show as always. Happy you're back on a regular basis. Appreciation from Norway. Lloyd S. says, I think the faster, a lot of comments along these lines. I think the faster the conditions, the better for Novak. I'm happy they got the first game. You got to understand something. I'll say it now because there's going to be a few more comments like this, but we'll just get it out of the way. Yeah, fast conditions and low bounce. Wimbledon, great. Australian Open, even better for Novak Djokovic. Fast conditions at the Roland Garros also means exploding high ball, pushing you back off the baseline a little bit. Same in Madrid. That's why I was saying that. I thought, faster conditions with a higher bounce. And remember what Medvedev said. And it was windy too. Remember that? Medvedev was warning about the wind. He says those who play with a wrist game, Djokovic and Medvedev are flatter balls. Djokovic has added some wrist to his forehand over the years because of that issue. But a good thing about that also for Djokovic is that he can flatten it out easier than some other guys like Zverev, for instance, who has a hard time flattening out his forehand to go up the line when it's time to keep that thing low and just hit a winner. You get a shorter ball, have a chance to just wrap it up, go forehand up the line. Roger Federer, whenever he would do that, forehand up the line and go into the net. Easier for Djokovic to do that. But faster conditions here, higher bounce, wristy game, as Medvedev said, which Carlos has. And that can push him back with that high bouncing and fast ball. But you're right. In some ways it also helps Djokovic on the serve. So, it's always like whenever you have, we talk about conditions, some things about it will help one player. They'll also help another player. It just comes down to who does it help more, who does it hurt more. And then it's like a balancing act trying to figure it out. If they were up second, I'd put Carlos heavy favorite for the slower game. Yeah, maybe though. That's the other thing I didn't think about. Like, yeah, faster helps Carlos in this way. Well, what if it's really slow conditions? And the ball is slower. That's another thing. Supposedly the ball is fluffing up more this year. Is a slower ball than what we've played with, the top players in the world have played with in previous Roland Garroses. So, yeah, maybe slower conditions would have been a better favorite. I don't know, though. I think it was ideal for Carlos because he has a lot more lively ball with the wrist and the power mix. That's the thing. I talked to a guy in Cincinnati a year or two ago, me and Peter Freeman from Crunch Time Coaching, head sponsor of Coffee Break Tennis, as you see down below. Is it there or is it there? I think it's there. Anyways, there was a guy who was there, and at Cincy, they get college players. This guy was actually a college coach, really good player, young college coach who had recently played college, finished up his playing years, and then went to work coaching other college players at a college in Cincinnati. Can't remember what school it was, but so they get these guys over there to be hitting partners whenever the Cincinnati Masters 1000 tournament is in town. This guy hit with all three players. He said Roger and Rafa, and not just Rafa, both Roger and Rafa, their ball is just so spinny and explosive, like Alcaraz, because they get straight arm forehands, so deeper balls because of that, faster balls, heavier balls. Think Del Potro, straight arm. It's a really long arm with a straight arm, maybe the heaviest ball ever, right? And it's flat too. But the thing about Roger and Rafa is they're so wristy and whippy on their ball, like Alcaraz, that the ball like explodes at you and is really tricky to deal with. And then he said Djokovic, on the other hand, his ball's not necessarily much different from any other ATP guy he had hit with. The thing with Djokovic was there was just no way to get him off balance. His movement was so good. It was superior to everyone else that he felt like no matter how hard he hit a shot at Djokovic or where he hit it, Djokovic always got there and was also totally balanced and able to hit a good shot, right? A shot that normally would make it hard for a guy to hit a good shot, and you have to hit something more defensive, floaty, slicey, whatever. Djokovic is always there in time to set up and still hit a great ATP quality ground stroke. Anyways, I can't even remember why I started talking about that. I guess let's just move on. I don't know. Maybe it's the Bierhall Freitag. I'm a big Novak fan, and my concern is we see an informed Novak lose to Nadal many times in Paris. Is Carlos Nadal level? We will see. That was always the bet here. That was always the thing that we were, if you wager on who's going to win this match. He can get that wristy, explosive game like Roger and Rafa that bounces off the clay more than Novak's ball does. But is he going to be able to consistently bring it like Nadal? Well, physically, mentally, whatever it was that brought on those cramps, he wasn't able to do it. We will see. Any other slam, Novak would be my favorite. I just think the surface suits Carlos more and might just be the deciding factor. Thanks, Matt. Everybody get ready for a super stressful match. Next page. Djokovic hasn't done as well at the U.S. Open. I wonder, what is it about that surface that's different? I think that's, it bounces higher at the U.S. Open, and there's heavier humidity there than we get in Australia. It'd be interesting to see what happens at the U.S. Open this year, but Wimbledon, I don't see anyone beating Djokovic, especially if Djokovic wins on Sunday. Casper Ruud has a chance for sure. We got to see. Djokovic looked like physically things were getting to him too. That second set was very demanding. Djokovic admitted it himself in the press conference and on the on-court interview. Drin Castronero says, I just subbed after watching you for a long time because you were a Fed fan, but I really appreciate how you lean towards Novak when everyone else seems to count him out. I remember that Djokovic's greatest strength. I forgot to drink after finishing the last page. I will not take the Roger Federer Uniqlo wristband, which we thought they'd have a bunch of these, right? I won't wipe beer with that. Spilled beer will have to be wiped with the hand. Anyways, remember that? They put these things out and sold them on the Uniqlo website, and you'd think like, oh, they're always going to be there, but it was like very limited. Good thing I bought like 10 of them. Anyways, still don't want to stain it. I just subbed after watching blah, 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 blah. We already read that part. Really appreciate how you lean towards Novak when everyone else seems to count him out. I remember that Djokovic's greatest strength is his mental fortitude. Yeah, we saw that today. That's the thing. When he lost that second set, I knew well, Djokovic isn't going anywhere. Can Carlos keep bringing it like this? Maybe. Maybe one day he's going to be able to overwhelm Djokovic, and that'll be when Djokovic retires. He's the only guy who beat Nadal twice in Roland Garros, Djokovic. Only person, ever. He's the only guy who beat Fed more in Wemby than anyone else. I'm not sure I'm ready to get... I just thought of somebody who beat Fed. Who be her catch? That doesn't count. The only guy who beat Fed more in Wemby, and I'm not sure I'm ready to give up the big three either. I expect nothing less than 25 for Novak. I think he might be able to get to 25. In fact, he's going to have 23. He's going to win Wimbledon and have 24. If he wins the U.S. Open, I think he could have the Grand Slam. Can you believe that? A guy who had a chance was one... Excuse me, there's going to be more belching and doing this on Bierhall Freitag. Because of the beer hall and the beer. Anyways, can you imagine a guy who had a chance, was one match away, losing in the U.S. Open final to win all 4 majors in 1 year? And don't forget, he went to the COVID edition of the Japanese Olympics, which since he wasn't, didn't get the thing, I don't want to say it, maybe YouTube will make me in trouble or something. He didn't get, he didn't do that, the thing. And because of that, they had to stick the nasal swab up him every 60 seconds. In Japan, very brutal weather conditions, very humid and hot. I think it might have been like they kind of like in the U.S. Open that 1 year where Federer was hyperventilating in the locker room afterwards. Like they shut a roof on him. I can't remember what the deal was. And I remember he threw his racket into the stands because there was no one there. Anyways, 25 could happen this year. Could you imagine if Novak Djokovic has a second chance to win all four in 1 year and actually pulled it off. If he wins Sunday, he's definitely winning Wimbledon. He's going to have a great shot at the U.S. Open. Would love to see a rematch. Would love to see it at Wimbledon. Would really like to see Alcaraz, Djokovic semifinal or final. Would rather have it be a final at the U.S. Open. Oh, actually, I just remembered. I'm going to the semifinals this year. Would rather see Novak. Comment below if you're going to the U.S. Open. I will be at the semifinal. I don't know which one. They're expensive. Oh my gosh. Bierhall Freitag wouldn't be complete without Mr. Goat. Jump on up, Mr. Goat. He's going to scratch and clean himself for a little bit first. Come up on your own time, Mr. Goat. He's looking at the fingers, but he doesn't feel like the effort of jumping up. I hope it's a U.S. Open semifinal, Alcaraz and Djokovic. Anyways, Tom's Travel, Sports, and Music Talk. Sounds like he's got a YouTube channel. Hey, Mr. Goat, how you doing? Thanks for the great analysis. Allez, Novak. Jake Huang. The thing I'm worried about is the backhand. So far, Alcaraz has played 3 one-handed backhanders in a row. Now he has to face Djokovic and has to be most effective and efficient two-hand backhand in the game. Yeah, that is absolutely true. Oh, sorry, Mr. Goat. I went for the Bierhall Freitag, and I almost smacked Mr. Goat right in the face. Anyways, we finished a page, Mr. Goat. You want to have a sip of that? Or just a sniff? That's fine. Yeah, that was a good point. Djokovic's backhand, very solid as usual in the match. And you did see him go, cross court a lot with that. When things needed to be reset, it was nice to see Djokovic be able to just keep some cross court backhands going, reset the point. Jigs La Madrid says, "Hi Matt, waiting for your commentary after Novak won against Carlos." Well, here it is. He got it almost in 3 sets. Djoko used his energy on this match. I think, yeah, he did use a lot, and that's why I'll give Casper Ruud a chance, because it looked pretty physical for Djokovic in that match, right? It wasn't only Carlos, so we'll see how things go. I can't imagine. Zverev, you could see it. If he played his best and just took the racket out of Djokovic's hands with big serves and stuff like that, yeah, he could do it. Casper Ruud, his forehand is big, but Djokovic is hitting a pretty big forehand as well, and is Djokovic going to be able to is Casper Ruud going to be able to tee off on his forehand and do whatever he wants like he was with a sloppy Zverev who, full credit to Zverev. This is a great accomplishment just coming back a year later and getting this far again. He hasn't had the experience at this level. I can't remember what happened to Zverev at the Australian Open, but I don't think it was great. Anyways, the deep ball that Djokovic hits every time is not going to let Casper Ruud dictate with the forehand like he was. And the serve is not anywhere near the Zverev serve. It's not as good as the Carlos Alcaraz serve even, which has gotten better. Spiros Sofianos says, "Very nice analysis. Hope for Novak. Alcaraz is the future." Well, hope for Novak is answered. Apart from the great analysis, your sense of humor, Aria Kane says, is explosive with a hand clap. Mr. Go, why are you knocking my important documents off the desk? Babatunde Kalijaye says, this analysis is omitting what has improved in Carlos's game since his last... This is what I just said. Since last year, his serve, it's added to his mini weapons to rack up points. Okay, here's a great one. In fact, this show is taking longer than I thought it would, so let's wrap it up with this page. ABC says, Matt, for the Bierhall Freitag, I love that he spelled it correctly in German too. I don't know if he speaks German. I think I made everybody learn just a little bit of German. 2 words. 2011 U.S. Open semifinal. Don't forget 2010, 2 match points. I think Roger serving on him. Yeah, because Djokovic hits the cross-court forehand heard around the world on return on a match point. Remember that? 2011, the next year, I can't remember. I don't think Roger had set points, or did he? Did he have set points again? Maybe on return? I can't remember exactly how it went, but both matches Roger should have won, and Joker is a legend. He established it then, established it before that, but really then, that was when people started thinking, oh my God, maybe this Djokovic guy is more of a threat than we thought, us Roger and Rafa fans. 2 sets to love, Roger's up. Novak claws back. 5th set, Roger has a huge lead. 2 match points on serve. Oh, it was 2011 when it was the forehand? Yeah, 2010 was match points on return. 2011, match points on serve. And Joker hits the shot heard around the world. Roger loses. Rafa also in red-hot form, just not at the Joker level. Had Rafa versus Roger met at that U.S. Open final in 2011, what do you think the outcome would have been? P.S. As a Rafa fan, the year 2011 and the 2012 AO final still haunt me. We'll go back to that because it's interesting. Really quick, let's just wrap this up. Philip Nguyen, everybody. I used to say Nguyen when I was younger, but now I know it's pronounced Nguyen. Philip Nguyen says, everybody quickly forgot Fabian, ranked 174, spanked Carlos in Roma. He's a very good friend with Godovic. One phone call with all the tips. Maybe that happened. Maybe that phone call did indeed happen. Anyways, let's take a look at 2011's draw really quick. Put that on the screen, Mr. Goat. Quarterfinals, Novak Djokovic, who Janko Tipsarevic, just to show you how amazing this generation is, this big three generation, how amazing Djokovic is. Who did Tipsarevic beat in the round of 16? Juan Carlos Ferrero, the coach who was sitting in the box today as he watched his protege, his charge. He watched Carlitos get beat by Djokovic. Anyway, so Tipsarevic had beat Juan Carlos Ferrero, and then he gives 2 tiebreaks. Tough match, winning the second set. Must have got injured because then he loses 9 games in a row, 6-0, 3-0. He retires. Meanwhile, Federer, he beats Tsonga. Hit the music because we're getting out of here. He beats Tsonga 6-4, 6-3, 6-3. You had to feel really good. Let's go a step further. Let's look at Roger Federer. He had a tough match in the third round, but pretty, Santiago Giraldo. I still remember these guys' names, even though they've been retired forever. Takes him out in straight sets. Dudi Sela takes him out in straight sets. Real short guy from Israel. Marin Cilic, tough match compared to the other ones, right? 4 sets, Roger wins. 4th round, Juan Monaco. What, Mr. Goat? I'm sorry, Mr. Goat's making a lot of noise. Federer destroys Juan Monaco, 6-1, 6-2, 6-0. So going back. Then he beats Jo-Wilfried Tsonga, 6-4, 6-3, 6-3. Nadal has it easy. That's Andy Roddick's, I think that's when Roddick retires after this match because Nadal crushed him. And Roddick only like 29 years old at this time, then he retires. Right, so you're thinking this looks like a Roger Rafa final. I believe Roger and Rafa never actually got to play in the U.S. Open. Could have in 2017, and Roger threw out his back. Didn't make it to him. Rafa goes on to win it. Anyways, this is it, right? They both are just destroying good players, right? Nadal destroys seeded Roddick. Federer destroys a seeded Tsonga. Go to the semifinals. Rafa beats Murray. You think Roger's going to beat Djokovic? He's up 7-6, 6-4. Then he loses. Well, and I don't like these ifs because Djokovic won, and that's that. And then he beats Nadal in 4 sets. Nadal winning a 3rd set tiebreaker. But I think Roger would have won. Yes. Roger, if he meets him in the final, he would have won. Anyways, that's it for us. Thank you for coming to Coffee Break Tennis. We'll be back some point after the final. Hopefully, we'll be able to get it up pretty fast. If Casper Ruud wins, maybe we'll just listen to Casper Ruud Boi song on a loop for 30 minutes straight. If Djokovic wins, I got a great song that I'm working on for you. As soon as I put this video up on YouTube, I got to get straight to work on that because I'm pretty confident Novak Djokovic wins in 4 sets on dimanche. I was going to say see ya, but let's go au revoir.